Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivraj Acharya Ashtottar Shatul Shri Srimad Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj Stira Bhakti Thi Mahotsav Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivraj Acharya Ashtottar Shatul Shri Srimad Abhay Charanar Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Avantipur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Shri Ram Vijay Mahotsav Ki Jai. Shri Shri Dashera Mahotsav Ki Jai. Shamabeto Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunavadi Pashtuttanti Sutta. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. So since today is Srila Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj's Disappearance Day, we are going to discuss about his life and activities instead of our regular Bhagavatam class. So, as I was recalling, last year, not exactly on this day, a day after, during the Bhagavatam class, when I just about ended the Bhagavatam class, Gaganarayan came and gave me the news that the night before, at midnight, His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj left this planet. It was such a shock. At first I couldn't really comprehend what the news actually meant, because I could never imagine that Maharaj would leave like that all of a sudden. He was quite healthy and strong, although there had been some mishaps, but he recovered from that quite. There was a bomb blast in Imphal when the Janmashtami celebration was going on, and Maharaj was affected. He was injured in that blast. Some terrorists blasted some bombs during our Janmashtami festival, and it exploded very close to Maharaj, and he was hit by the splinters, and one or two devotees also, I think, left their bodies, and another god brother of ours was very badly affected. Maharaj was not so badly affected, but one of our god brothers from America who was there, I was told that he took most of the blast, that otherwise would have hit Maharaj. But then Maharaj recovered, and at that time I phoned Maharaj, and he was already out of the hospital, and he was already taking care of various things, various affairs, especially those two devotees who left their bodies. I think he was even present during the funeral. And so Janmashtami was in August, September, October, about 2.5 months after that. On this day, at night, Maharaj left. He was in Calcutta, and he had a setup. Maharaj used to head, Maharaj was the director of Bhaktivedanta Institute, the scientific wings of preaching and scientific wing of ISKCON. And they still have a base in Calcutta. Maharaj was in Calcutta, and then that night he left, and in the morning when the devotees went to him, they found that he left his body. And so that is how we lost one of our foremost preachers, one of our foremost leaders. Maharaj was an exceptionally wonderful person. He hailed from Manipur. Manipur is a place where most of the people are Vaishnavas. That country, the whole country, practically is Vaishnava. They are the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the line of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. One of Narottam Das Thakur's disciples went to Manipur and preached to the king of Manipur. And as a result of his preaching, the king became a devotee. Manipur also has a tradition of Krishna Bhakti. They were devotees of, they were Vaishnavas, or they were at least devotees of Krishna. But this person, this king, when he took to Krishna consciousness in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he made an extensive endeavor to turn the whole country into a Vaishnava land. And he got Gaudiya Vaishnavas from Bengal to train the people of that land. And in this way, the Gaudiya Vaishnavism spread very effectively in that part of India. And even now we can see the influence of Vaishnavism there. Especially the women, they still dress like Vaishnavas, they wear tilak. Many men also do. Due to the TV culture, things are changing there also. And as a result of that, the youth are turning against the Vaishnava culture. There is a feeling now among some of the youth that who actually, there is a political influence, like their aversion towards India is turning them into terrorists, and they are actually saying that this acceptance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings have been the greatest misfortune for Manipur. Is because they say that because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, the whole country have lost their original culture and they have become aligned with India. And their culture is not Indian culture, their culture is different. And in a way that is understandable because it is a tribal race in the Himalayan part of Himalayan mountain range. They are people from the hills, their features are Mongolian. They are not akin, their features and their culture is not really akin to Indian culture, which is more of a Caucasian culture. And so, in this way, there is a lot of resentment among the youth, and it's these groups that actually hurled at bombs during that program, as I mentioned, during Janmashtami time. Anyway, so Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj was born in a Vaishnava family. He was a very brilliant student. After completing his college, he went to Calcutta to study in Calcutta University in the science department. There is a wing called Science College, and Maharaj did his MSc in chemistry from there. And then Maharaj got a scholarship to go to America and do his PhD. And while he was doing his PhD in America, he came across Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj told me, like, he had a colleague, a fellow student. His name was Dr. Rao, and he also was doing his PhD at that time. So Dr. Rao came across Srila Prabhupada and told Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj about Srila Prabhupada, and took Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj to meet Srila Prabhupada. And just one meeting attracted Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj so much to Srila Prabhupada that he kept on meeting Srila Prabhupada time and time again. And so, why so many people are coughing like this? Winter didn't even start at the end. Anyway, I know that cannot be controlled. So, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj then met, and he told me that whenever Srila Prabhupada used to come to Los Angeles area, Maharaj used to go there he used to be in, I think which part? He was in Laguna Beach area. He was probably in Irvine. Anyway, it's a long drive actually to LA from there. It's 1.5 hours drive. And Maharaj used to go to meet Srila Prabhupada in the morning. And often he joined Prabhupada in his morning walk. And Prabhupada, because Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj was a student of science, doing his PhD, Prabhupada used to have many challenging questions to Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj about science. And so those discussions during the morning walks that Prabhupada used to have with Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj has been recorded in the science, in the Life Comes From Life, and some chapters of Science of Self-Realization. So this is how Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj became attracted to Srila Prabhupada. And then he, after completing his PhD, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj came back to India, and Prabhupada made him a GBC of Manipur. And also Prabhupada already made him the in charge of BI, Bhaktivedanta Institute. Prabhupada wanted to have a scientific wing of ISKCON, and Prabhupada himself named it as Bhaktivedanta Institute, BI, as it is commonly known. And he made Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj the director of BI. And that branch of ISKCON was very dear to Srila Prabhupada. I remember when Prabhupada was in Bombay, one day Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj came to see Srila Prabhupada, and and when he was discussing, I was there with Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was discussing what BI is preaching. And Prabhupada then called Krishna Maharaj, and he included him also in the discussion, and he started to. And he asked Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj to conduct the BI affairs, how much money he would need every month. That was in 1977. And Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj couldn't say anything, he was just silent. And because he probably never calculated and figured out how much he would need it. And so Prabhupada asked Krishna Maharaj, how much do you think he will need? And Krishna Maharaj said, about $10,000 a month. Now those days, $10,000 was a lot of money. Those days, $10,000 is somewhat like, will be actually about $100,000 today. And Prabhupada just said, okay, make it, inform BBT to forward that money to Bhaktivedanta Institute every month. And Krishna Maharaj did that. And as I mentioned that it was a lot of money, so the people in BBT probably got a little worried, and it was an unfortunate thing. Like I recall that at some point, not long after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, Prabhupada left in 77, end 77, 78, 70, sometimes they were quite irregular at first in sending the money, and then finally in 1980 they actually stopped giving that money to BI. I mean, these are some unfortunate happenings in ISKCON early days. And Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj had to close down his BI operation. He had his operation in Philadelphia. And when it happened, I was there, and Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj was very hurt. He was a very quiet, very gentle soul actually. He would not protest, he would not make a big hue and cry. But he would silently start to get affected by that. And he opened up to me and he was telling how he felt. And then at that time I also was so affected. That was in 1980. So I pledged to Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, okay, I'll be with you. And I told him that whether we have money or not doesn't really matter, whether we have a setup or not, but we can preach. That no one can stop us from preaching. And so Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj at that time had to go back to India. So we decided that Dayadhar, there was one devotee, he was a PhD in neurophysiology. His name was Dayadhar Das, was an American devotee. So Dayadhar and I carried on the BI activities in America. And it was nice, like we were preaching, we were traveling and preaching. We started, actually I had to go to Montreal because some program was already arranged. So I went to Montreal and I told Dayadhar that he should drive down to Montreal, and from Montreal we would start our preaching. And so I told the Montreal temple that this is what I wanted to do along with the programs that I was supposed to do there. That is to meet different scientists and scholars. And in this way we are informing different temples to organize programs for us. That is, make appointments with local scientists and scholars. And so from Montreal we went to Ottawa, and from Ottawa we went to Toronto, and it was very successful. And by Krishna's mercy, Dayadhar and I made a very nice team. Like, we would meet the scientists. So Dayadhar would start speaking with the in his scientific terms, and like they would start to discuss about the extent of science. And then that discussion would lead to some point when they could not actually go any further. And at that time I would come in and I would give the Vedic alternative, mostly based on Sankhya philosophy, that matter by itself cannot be complete. The matter must have life. Matter by itself is inert, but it is the life that brings consciousness. And that consciousness is not a material phenomenon. Consciousness is a spiritual phenomenon. And that phenomenon, that spirit soul, comes from the spiritual sky. It is not a matter of the combination of atoms and molecules give rise to life. And I remember sometimes we used to face some, especially the Western scientists, were very challenging. They wouldn't accept defeat, and we would have very interesting encounters. And but there are some Indian scientists in America and Canada. I had a lot of Indian scientists. Even those days, there were quite a few Indian scientists, and we came across some amazing persons who were very, very eager to help us. I remember in Toronto, we came across one scientist. His name is Dr. Gandhi, and he had about 12 scientists, 12 PhDs working under him. And he used to take the government research assignments. Like, as a separate entity, he used to undertake research on behalf of the government. And he had some wonderful findings by his own, and he shared them with me, with us. And Dr. Gandhi was telling that he had a finding that inside at the ozone level, inside ozone and oxygen level inside a temple is much higher than not only outside but any other place. Like that is a very, very interesting phenomenon. Like he told us that he conducted that research in our temple in Toronto. That the ozone level and oxygen level, that means ozone level higher means the life energy is higher there. And he also offered that we could undertake any research work with his, he would help with his crew. And he had another very wonderful finding that he had is that those who observe celibacy, of course in the West those days there was not, apart from ISKCON, there were not many consideration of celibates, but he had still, with the concept, he had undertaken a research that those who indulge in sex life excessively, their ability to remember things, their will, all these are very, very low. Whereas a person, when he observes, when he controls his sex desire, he has a very high level of intelligence, memory, and willpower. And he had some amazing, he's of course coming from an Indian background, so it's quite a although he's a PhD and a scientist, but he observed that these were the phenomena and he took research on that on his own. And he had these findings. And we are amazing actually, we are meeting so many nice people, and just Dayadhar and I used to drive from one city to another and just go and stay in the temple and just meet those scientists, and if they were adamant, we would smash them, and if they were submissive, then we befriend them. And we traveled all over, like we traveled like from Montreal to Ottawa, Ottawa to Toronto, then from Toronto we went down to St. Louis to Dallas, Dallas to New Orleans, and this way we traveled all the way up to Miami. And when we were in Miami, we got an appointment with a very, very prominent Indian scientist. His name was Ananda Chakravarti, and who was kind of being nominated for, he was being nominated for a Nobel Prize. He was a very prominent scientist. And so we had an appointment with Ananda Chakravarti, so we decided to go to, and Ananda Chakravarti was from Chicago. So we went to Chicago. Actually, we stopped in Baltimore and then New Vrindavan, and then we went to Chicago. We had a meeting with Ananda Chakravarti. Very bright person, and a very nice discussion. He also, most of the Indian scientists actually are akin to or prone to accept the Vedic concepts, that life comes from life. And that was Prabhupada's theme. Life, modern science is claiming that life comes from matter, but life cannot come from matter. Life must come from life, and which automatically leads to the point of accepting the existence of soul. Because life cannot come from matter. Life is not a matter of chemical combination. Life is a matter of presence of the soul.
which causes matter to function in a very specific way. And so, anyway, and our meeting with Anand Chakra, actually from there, from Chicago, we were supposed to drive to Denver. I was supposed to be in Denver the next day, which was a Sunday. Because I was supposed to give a lecture on the Sunday feast. Now, Denver to Chicago to Denver is a good 10 hours drive, 10-12 hours drive. So we were supposed to finish our meeting with Ananda Chakravarti at 5 o'clock and then drive till 12 and then stop somewhere and then again drive in the morning. But that meeting with Ananda Chakravarti was so exciting that instead of finishing the meeting at 5, we went on till about 8 o'clock night. And then we decided that we would drive and stop somewhere in the middle of the... And so we started at 8 o'clock and we were driving I would drive for 2 hours, the other would drive for 2 hours. And this is how we thought that we would drive on, carry on. So I think 8 to 10 Dayadhar drove, 10 to 12 I drove, and then 12 I handed over to Dayadhar, and I was sleeping like in the cars you can make the front seat into a bed, like it rolls all the way back. And I was sleeping, and then all of a sudden I woke up with a strange sound. And that sound was that when the car drives out of the road on the ramp, it makes that sound. And next thing I could feel is that the car was rolling. Dayadhar fell asleep in the wheel, and the car drove out of the road, and it rolled. But by Krishna's mercy, I didn't even get a scratch in my body. Dayadhar got a bump on his head. He also was... But it was strange that although the car rolled so many times when he was driving fast, he was driving about at least 75 miles an hour. That's about 125, 30 kilometers an hour. And I remember Dayadhar's first question, Maharaj, are you all right? He just screamed, Maharaj, are you all right? I was lying. So, and anyway, somehow we crawled out of the car. The car was totaled, and all the cars stopped, and I could see that from the road. People were watching, and they were surprised that nothing happened to us. We just walked out of the car, not even a scratch, At least I didn't even have a scratch in my body. But I remember I was feeling very cold. And it must be some internal thing that was happening, I don't know. Like, it was not that cold, it was summer, only in the middle of the night. But I was feeling very cold inside. I mean, very cold. And anyway, and as a result of that preaching that we are conducting stopped. And all these interviews and the encounters we had with different scientists and scholars were recorded. And Dayadhar, we are supposed to print a book out of that. But anyway, I don't know. And nothing happened out of that. Then I came back to Calcutta after that, and I was taking care of a BI in Calcutta. I opened a branch in Calcutta, BI, and that was the first, that's how the Calcutta BI was set up. And so anyway, that is how I got very closely involved with Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj in his BI. Actually, the relationship, I had a very close relationship with Maharaj from the very beginning. I first met him in 77. I remember Maharaj and I went to Calcutta. He had to buy the ticket. And that's the first time I met him. And I mean, in my eyes, he was a very big person because he was, I was just a new devotee. I was just initiated actually, just initiated during Mayapur festival. And one day him and I went to Calcutta. He had to buy the ticket to go to Manipur, and we traveled together, and I had to do something in Calcutta. And I remember after he bought the ticket, we all, both of us sat in the Maidan. Those who are from Calcutta know the Maidan, the big park in Calcutta in the middle of the city. And like I used to do in early days with my friends before I became a devotee, sit in this park and talk. So Maharaj and I were just talking. And I found him to be such a humble, such a simple person. In ISKCON, he was a big person, like he was very close to Srila Prabhupada. He was, Prabhupada already made him a GPC, and he was the director of BI. Prabhupada used to have such intimate encounters with him, discussions with him. Already a book was published, the Life Comes from Life was just Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj's discussions with Srila Prabhupada. So he was a very big personality, but he was very, very simple and very humble. And then at one time, that was before I joined BI, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj started his center in Manipur. That was in 79. And Maharaj requested me to help him. He said, look, I have nobody. And those days, non-Indians couldn't go to Manipur. And because of that is a border area, and Indian government was very concerned. They wouldn't let a foreigner to go on those areas. It's only recently that the foreigners have been allowed to go there. So Maharaj requested me that, and so I said, okay, I'll help you. So together we went to Manipur, and we started our first center in Manipur, and I became the temple president. That's the only time, that's the first time I became the temple president, and that was the last time I was a temple president. The only time I was a temple president. And it was a very simple setup. It was a simple place we had. We rented a place which was our temple. It was just a tinned structure. It's somewhat like this warehouse we had that Navadip Chaitanya built for keeping where our things are just around there, the tin shed, tin roof, tin wall. So that was a structure like that, much smaller than that. And that was our first temple. But it was so nice. Like Manipuri people are very nice people. And there are two types of people. There is one type of people, they're very nice and friendly. And in the evenings they would come and we would give classes. But there is another class of people, they're the Brahmanas. And they're Vaishnavas actually. But they're very puffed up, very arrogant. They won't have anything to do with anybody else. But they're great cooks. Manipuri prasad is very delicious. And they do it in a very artistic way. Like they make banana plates, banana leaf plates. But they would make it in just like a thali. Like they have a way of doing it. They cut the leaf in round shapes, then they make katoris, out of banana leaves, they kind of stick them together in such a way. And also when they serve prasad, they would cover their mouth so that they won't, even if they talk, the spit won't go and fall on the prasad. But it's interesting to see how they preserved the Gaudiya Vaishnava culture in that way. From that we can see how cultured, how wonderful the Gaudiya Vaishnava culture used to be. But unfortunately we lost it. And it'll be nice to revive that culture. Like now things are changing. The king of Manipur took the Gaudiya Vaishnavas from Bengal to train the people there, train the people of Manipur with the Vaishnava culture. But now I think the situation has reversed. Now we need to get people to come from Manipur to train us with the Gaudiya Vaishnava culture. And it will be nice to reinstate the culture in ISKCON. In ISKCON, things are expanding, and by Prabhupada's mercy, Krishna consciousness has been very well established. But that culture aspect is missing. And in a way, sometimes I feel that there is a big danger of infiltration of American culture in our society. And if that happens, that will be very, very unfortunate. It's already happening in some way. But personally, I feel that's a very, very unfortunate sign. Rather, ISKCON is actually designed by Srila Prabhupada to give the spiritual culture all over the world. But unfortunately, there is some unfortunate and alarming signs. Anyway, at least I will remind you all very, very emphatically that stick to the Vaishnava culture, stick to Vedic culture, and don't compromise this culture with anything else. Rather try to enhance that culture. If possible, wherever this culture is properly practiced, like I was saying in Manipur, bring those people from there and establish that culture. I remember, I'm sure many of you remember that last year, the Manipuri Maharaj came with a group of few Manipuri devotees, and they gave a performance of dance and Poon Chalan playing the mridanga. Such beautiful expertise in playing mridanga. So we should bring back that culture, not try to introduce something that is going to be detrimental to our Vaishnava practices. So always try to get closer to the spiritual culture, not drift away from the spiritual culture. And Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj was such a refined person, such a refined Vaishnava. As I was mentioning, often I used to tell Maharaj, our natures are completely opposite. Although both of us are Indians. Maharaj is so gentle and humble and polite, whereas sometimes I'm so aggressive and intolerant and loud, expressing my feelings so quickly. Whereas Maharaj was, but at the same time Maharaj had a great affection for me, and we had a deep friendship. And Maharaj was, I could see that he had, that way Maharaj had one difficulty in dealing with the devotees in ISKCON because of his inability to deal with them in that way. Like, Actually, Krishna Maharaj once told him, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, together we are having a discussion, three of us were having a discussion, and Krishna Maharaj was telling Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, your problem is that you don't express yourself. Krishna Maharaj was very, very intelligent, very sharp, and very penetrating. His perception, his analysis was absolutely clear-cut. And he would be very open. He wouldn't hesitate to tell whatever was in his mind. And at one point, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj was, I forgot in what way, for what, Maharaj was a little hurt. And we were discussing about that, and then Krishna Maharaj came up with that. He gave him very good advice. He said that your problem is that you don't express yourself. Speak up, whatever is in your mind, let others know about it. If you don't, then how will they understand? And he told that that's the American way of doing things. Americans don't hesitate to call a spade a spade. Americans don't hesitate to reveal their minds without considering how the other person is going to feel about it. But I think Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj's concern mainly was, how he was always concerned how others would feel, how he didn't want to hurt anybody. And as a result of that, he himself used to get hurt. Like as I was telling, when BBT stopped paying the money to Maharaj, he did not make a big issue out of it. He just silently accepted it. But I also feel Maharaj should have made an issue out of it. He could have told, look, this is Prabhupada's instructions. Like if you don't, then Prabhupada will be. You are disobeying the order of your spiritual master. And actually that's what happened. The individual who stopped that, who was the in charge of BBT at the time, soon after that he fell down. And today he is completely lost. He was a big sannyasi, big leader of ISKCON at that time. But today he has nothing to do with ISKCON. He has drifted completely away from ISKCON. So this is how the reactions actually come. And even recently, maybe you can briefly discuss that also. Like 2 years back, for last few years, there had been, you see, BI project was very dear to Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj because that's the service that Prabhupada himself gave him. And so BI, Bhaktivedanta Institute, was very dear to Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. But Maharaj was having some difficulties with some other BI members. And many of them went away. Like they took some other service, or actually now in ISKCON there is two groups of BI. Like one is Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj's BI, and the other is those who couldn't work with that setup of BI. They are working on another area. And so anyway, that was okay. Like, well, they couldn't work together with Maharaj, but they carried on with their service. But the unfortunate thing happened is when a disciple of Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj turned against him. And not only that, he actually took over the BI that he was heading and isolated themselves completely from the original BI. And there was a conflict, and 2 years back during the GBC meeting, that issue was discussed. But the presentation was in such a way that the real issue was not presented. And like, for example, the conflict between this disciple of Maharaj and with Maharaj was not really the issue that was presented, but the issue actually was something else. That he, instead of addressing the main issue, some side issues were addressed. That issues that were dealt with by the GBC in the meeting, or the way it was presented by Maharaj himself actually, that his point was that he was deviating. Because I pointed out that he is deviating, that other person, because he is conducting scientific research. And Prabhupada, his point was Prabhupada didn't want scientific research. But in the discussion, it was felt that BI being a scientific wing of ISKCON, we cannot possibly say that scientific research is deviation from ISKCON. And anyway, these are some such points, and the GBC gave their decision, but Maharaj was very hurt. He kind of took it that the GBC did not consider his points, and anyway, so I unfortunately, when that discussion was taking place, that day, the last day of the GBC meeting, I was not there. I left a day earlier to come back to Ujjain actually, after the GBC meeting. And then I got to know that Maharaj was very hurt because of the decisions, the GBC decisions. And then that was in March. Then in August, during Janmashtami, there was a bomb blast. Maharaj was already quite hurt due to the GBC decision. He felt that the GBC sided with the other group, other disciple, Maharaj, who actually was a renegade. And then in Janmashtami there was a bomb blast. So these two incidents must have shaken up or hurt Maharaj very much. And I feel that he was so heartbroken and didn't really share his feelings with anyone. And as a result of that, it was just gnawing him internally, corroding him internally, and as a result of that, he just left. And so, for us it's a great loss, and also for his disciples also it's a great loss. And today one of our main concern is what's going to happen in Manipur. And because not anybody can become Manipur is a very special place. The people are very special there, and foreigners cannot really go there. So who is going to be the leader of Manipur? Who is going to be the GBC of Manipur? I haven't been able to decide as yet. So these are all the complexities that we are facing now due to the absence of Maharaj. And the activities of BI also have been affected very strongly, because without Maharaj's leadership, it is not going to take off. It is not going to be effectively functioning. And Maharaj actually had been very successful in his scientific preaching. Like, I remember in 1987, there was this World Congress, the synthesis between science and religion in Bombay. Then there was another such conference in Calcutta during Prabhupada's centennial, 96. 87 was the year after Mahaprabhu's 500th anniversary. And then 96 there was another conference of BI conference, the synthesis between science and religion in Calcutta. And many Nobel laureates actually came there. And then Maharaj had another one in Rome, and he was planning to have another one in South India. And he had been very actively involved in his preaching mission. So BI was very effectively preaching, and he had quite a few disciples who are coming from very prominent scientific backgrounds. Like, he has quite a few PhDs and professors from notable universities in India and abroad. It's a great loss, and unfortunate thing is that when these personalities are present, then we don't recognize their value. I was thinking that 2 years back during a GBC meeting, not even 2 years, it's actually 1.5 years back, in a GBC meeting, if we could recognize Maharaj's value, probably our way to deal with Maharaj would have been very different. And it's a great loss, like in the last few years we lost so many such stalwart leaders. The first one to leave us was His Holiness Gaur Govinda Maharaj, then Tamal Krishna Maharaj, then Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, Sridhar Maharaj, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. Sometimes I feel the loss of these personalities, and where will you get individuals like that? Like where will you find another Tamal Krishna Maharaj? Where will you find another Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj? You have very special personalities who actually came to assist Srila Prabhupada. And then all of a sudden they just left. They must have been called back by Srila Prabhupada. That must have been the and Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj is such a loss. I don't know what's going to happen to the scientific preaching. There was a time when I was quite involved with BI preaching, but today someday I probably will have something in that direction, but at least at this point in time, my way of preaching is so different. And in a way I feel that only Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj could do that. There are many scientists in ISKCON, but they haven't been effectively organized the BI or even function effectively. There are some very brilliant scientists in our movement, but their effectivity is not that noticeable. Whereas Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj was preaching to the the top level scientists of the world. So many Nobel laureates. And Maharaj developed such a deep relationship, such a friendly relationship with them. They all respected him. They all had a very intimate relationship with him. His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj's Disappearance Day celebration ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Today also is Ram Vijay itself. Today is the day when Ravan was killed by Ramchandra. Ramchandra is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, expands himself in two ways. One is Swamsa and the other is Vibhinnamsa. Swamsa is his incarnation, and Vibhinnamsas are the living entities, the jivas. So these jivas their position is that of eternal servants of the Lord. Jiver Swarup hoy, Krishna Nitya Das. Whereas the incarnations are the Lord Himself, or all the incarnations are non-different from one another. They are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Lord incarnates with a specific purpose, that is Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Cha Dushkritam. He comes to deliver the sadhus and destroy or annihilate the dushkritams, the atheists, the demons. So there was this demon in Treta Yuga, Ravana, and when the devotees appealed to the Lord, please do something about this person, the Lord appeared. And his pastimes are so wonderful. In enacting his wonderful pastimes, the Lord killed the demon, Ravana, on this very day and rescued Sita Devi. Of course, persons like Ravana cannot even touch, what to say touch, cannot even see Lord's pleasure potency, Sita Devi, Vladini Shakti. But it was his pastime, so Maya Sita was created, who was stolen by Ravana. And as a result of that, a beautiful pastime was enacted. Ravana was the most powerful personality, so powerful that even the devas, the demigods, were afraid of him. He defeated the demigods, took over the control of the 3 planetary systems. But the Lord came, and his situation was, he was in the middle of a forest. He was in the forest, in exile, away from his kingdom. There were only 2 persons with him, his brother Lakshman and his wife Sita, and now Sita is also stolen. So he was just alone with his brother, and he had to rescue his wife from this extremely powerful demoniac king, Ravana, who was so powerful that he defeated the demigods. And he was so competent that he was building a stairs, like he was making arrangements to go to the heavenly planets from Earth planet. That anybody could just go to the heavenly planet. Such a powerful person. His city was made of gold. Like his house, the buildings in the city were not made of bricks and mortars, or stones and bricks or wood. Those houses were made of gold, solid gold. So such opulent, such powerful, such expert power. And Lord Ramchandra is just standing practically alone against him. And who came to his aid? The monkeys, a group of monkeys. Apparently a bunch of animals came to his aid, to his support. And with this monkey regiment, the Lord fought and defeated Ravana. And what example is established through that? What we learn from this pastimes? We learn that if we side with the Lord, then victory will be ours. No matter how weak, how incompetent we may be, and no matter how powerful our opposition may be, if we side with the Lord, then we will win, and we will defeat our enemy that stands up against the Lord. So that is the teachings we learn from this pastimes. Lord Ramchandra came to establish the Marjada of Shastra, Marjada of Vedic principles, Marjada of Vedic activities. And he perfectly acted in that to establish that principle. And therefore he is known as Marjada Purushottam. He established the ideals, the perfect ideals of a king, of a human being. How should an ideal human being act? How should an ideal leader act? And his actions are perfect examples. So today is Ram Vijay, today is the day the Lord killed Ravana, and it's a day of great celebration for us. This evening there will be a big program in Dasera Maidan, and we have been invited there. The program will be at 7 o'clock, so we all will go there today. And today also we have quite a few celebrations or ceremonies. Like we are also going to do the groundbreaking ceremony today. We were supposed to do it yesterday, but this groundbreaking ceremony will be very simple. Like we'll start the construction of the buildings, the apartment buildings here. The work already started some time ago. But today, since we're going to start again, we'll have some kirtan, because kirtan is the best celebration, best ritual, best auspicious activity. And so with the kirtan, we'll do the groundbreaking ceremony at 11 o'clock. Okay. And today also we're going to give the grains to Smarahari's son. Yes, okay, they're not here. So grain giving will be what time? 29. And then I think today he is sponsoring the feast also. So come for the feast. And
just after closing the temple and the temple got prasad in between.
Okay. So just after the Aratik, noon Aratik, and then the prasad will be at 2:30 as usual. Okay, and for the Bengalis, it's a big day. For the Bengalis, the biggest festival is Durga Puja. And today is the Vijaya Dashami. Vijaya Dashami is the last day of Durga Puja. Bengalis have concocted a counter festival for Ram Navami. They have invented a story. There was a Bengali translator of Ramayana, a guy called Krittibash Ojha. This Krittibash Ojha was a Shakta. So he wrote the Ramayana, but he himself was a Shakta, worshipper of Shakti Devi. So in Ramayana, very subtly, he established the supremacy of Devi. That he said Ram, in order to kill Ravan, got the worshipped Devi, and as a result of that, Ram was able to kill Ravan. That is the Bengali counterpart of Ramayana. And generally, Durga is worshipped in Bashanta, in Bashanta will be what? February, March. In the month of February, March. But this is Sharad, Durga Puja. Therefore, in Sharad Kal, in the month of this time, October, November, September, October. And this is called, therefore it's called Akal Bodhan. That untimely worship of Durga Puja. Why it's untimely? Because Ram, in order to kill Ravan, worshipped Durga. And anyway, and as a result of that, you can see the state of Bengal in a real pathetic shape. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in Bengal. They did not accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but they had just introduced some imaginary worship of Durga. And the result is, they became devoid of the mercy of Lakshmi Devi. In Bengali there is an expression, Lokhi Chara. Lakshmi Chara means Lakshmi Devi left them. So Lakshmi Devi left, and the communists have come in. They are losing all their opulence, all their glory, simply because they are rejecting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are not accepting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But those who are accepting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lakshmi Devi is always with them. When we worship Krishna, Narayan, Lakshmi Devi will automatically come. Because wherever there is Narayan, there will be Lakshmi. So Bengalis, please don't mind. So don't become Lakshmi Chara, but become Lakshmi Shahit. Receive the mercy of Lakshmi Devi just by serving Lakshmi Pati. Hare Krishna, Gaur Premanande, Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunnava